Hey everybody, let's take a look at Excel. I want to walk you through the basics first. So to pull up the program, you're going to click on your Start button here and type in Excel. So normally you would probably have a bunch of things you would see here, and you may have it as something you worked on recently if you did. Otherwise you would need to type it in like I did. And let's grab it. I had it opened earlier, so that must be why it was opening down to my taskbar. That was sort of strange. Okay, well that was interesting. It always opens up to this screen. So we're going to start here with a blank workbook. You have a couple of other templates here, which can be very handy, but I find that making something from scratch, I feel closer to it, like I know where everything is, so I prefer to build from scratch. Okay, so when you first open it up, you're looking at a workbook. And down here you can see I have sheet 1. You can add more sheets, or you can take them away. Okay, let's try that again. Or you can rename them. Wow, junk I need, right? You can click off, click on, change the tab color, like purple. So as soon as I click a different sheet, this purple really becomes bright, but when I'm actually clicked on it, it's kind of, you can't really see it. And then you can also get rid of that. So sheets are very handy. You're in one workbook. Your workbook is made up of all these sheets, and you can pull data from one sheet to another, which I'll teach you a little bit later. It's a nice little trick because sometimes like maybe this sheet will be my list of debts, right? And this sheet might be my budget. So I could go through my debt sheet once a month and pull all the statements and update the totals or whatever, and I could have it set so those numbers automatically update on my budget, which is handy because I know you all do a monthly budget, and update it and then see where you are to forecast what your costs are going to be for the next month. And I know you're all laughing because you're like, yeah right, I don't do a budget, but you will after you finish Excel with me. Okay, starting at the top, this lets you know you're in Excel, nice big X, save button, Control S, just like we used in the other Microsoft Office programs. This is your undo and your redo, and it's telling me I can't because I haven't done anything yet, which I'm like, yeah, I know. I use quick keys instead of these buttons, but they certainly, you can use the buttons. This is kind of cool. You can quickly add something to the quick access toolbar. So let's say you want to be able to open a new document just from this button. You've got that set now here. So you could go into File, New, click on this to get back. Or you could just use your button here that you've already set up. Okay, let's go into File. This is the first place I want to look. So this gives you the information about your workbook, and you can change different specific information, like the author name is one that I've used in the past. You can protect a workbook so people can see it but can't change it. All sorts of cool things like that. New is the new field, or the new page that we saw earlier. Open, if you're going to open a document you already own or used, and then it's nice because you've also got your recent documents in here. Save and Save As, which work the same as other programs in Microsoft Office. Save is more like a resave, and Save As is the first time you save a document, you have to tell the computer where you want to save it and what you want to name it, and so that's the Save As. Or if you were doing a duplicate document, like you wanted to save a second copy of something. Your print screen is here, and I'll go through this more in a separate video because the print has a lot of really cool features that you might want to set before you print anything in Excel. I don't do too much with these other things. You can check them out. Close would be to close the document that you're working in. It would not be to close the program. If you want to close a program, you always have to go over here to this X, all the way over there. Okay, When I first started using this version of Excel, I went through all this stuff and I was like, oh my gosh, how do I get back? And had this slight moment of panic because to me, nothing was intuitive as to how to get back to my regular screen, but it's this button here in the corner. So once you click back, then you're good. And that is the only tab that does that weirdness. All of the other tabs you can click in and out and you stay in seeing your sheet, but the file one, it takes you like to another planet and then you still have to come back. And I find that funny. I think it's mostly funny that I sort of panicked. I don't panic normally with computer programs, but I did when I got into that. All right, this is the file tab, or this is your tab here. These are all tabs. This is your ribbon, and this is the ribbon you will use most. In fact, I rarely leave it. You have all of your clipboard stuff here, which is you should be familiar with from the other programs we've worked on. You have your font dialog box here with all of the same stuff you've seen before. Font and size, a couple bold, italic, underline. You have your borders here. You can change the borders, although I rarely do. I just leave. It comes with grid lines, which are not borders, and I'll show you grid lines in a minute. But I typically use those. This is your fill to change the color of a cell. And this is your font color. So those are some things you can mess around with as you're building some of the projects to make them look, highlight certain information. All right, the alignment in Excel is a little bit different because you have both a vertical center, bottom, top, as well as left, right, center. So we get this when we work in tables in Microsoft Word, but otherwise, Microsoft Word, we usually just see these three. But not in Excel. The default in Excel is all 6 options. These are your alignment keys. This one's pretty cool. This allows you to change the way text is in a cell, and that combined with the merge center, which, how do I get rid of this? Click anywhere. Okay, there we go. Merge and center becomes real handy. So you oftentimes will merge something and then maybe change the font to go vertically. And then wrap text is also a handy feature that I'll talk about a little bit later when I'm building a worksheet with you. Number is important. This lets you pick the style of number that's in the cell. And so if you've ever typed into Excel and then you change it to a date and you're like, what? I didn't want a date. I just had a slash in there. That it's because this cell was set to like short date or long date. And you have to go back and make that cell a number. When you make it a number or a general, probably actually a general if you were going to have a slash in there, because if it was a number and it has a slash, it would think it was supposed to divide. If you go with general, then it will just show you what you type in. Otherwise, you want to pick the kind of cell that it is. Currency and accounting are really important to understand. Accounting deals with debits and credits, which you can learn all about in your fun-filled accounting class, but not here. We deal with strictly currency. I think it's really important in this class that we prepare you for college, being successful in college and being successful in life. I can kind of combine those two things. And currency will help you with your budgets. And that's all I care about. If you want to be an accountant, awesome. Have fun. I don't like that. I was forced into accounting with our family small business, and I now run the other direction. But I love currency because I can do my budget in there and make realistic plans and all that good stuff. So we deal with currency. Now, why are these different? Accounting is debit credit system. It rounds differently and it looks different on your worksheet. The important thing is that it rounds differently and it will add differently. And so you, for our class, always want to use currency. Always, always, always currency. And it's very easy for me to see the difference between the two, and I'll show you this later on. So that's it. Currency is what you would want to set. Now this here looks like it would be currency, but it's not. It's defaulted to accounting. And if you drop it down, you can see the different kinds of money that it can do accounting with, which is awesome and cool, but has nothing to do with this class. All right. You have your percent here. And then these buttons are handy because it allows you to increase and decrease the decimal. And that comes in handy when you're working on your budget stuff. Conditional formatting, show you that a little bit later. Also very cool for colors. And I use this a lot. This is preset styles, and you can really quickly make a nice looking spreadsheet with a nice title and some color and different things. So that's a win because it saves me a lot of time. These allow you to insert and delete cells rows and columns. To my knowledge, you can't delete like one cell, although Excel is so huge. I wouldn't be surprised if someone said, oh yeah, you can, let me show you. In our class, I think we use like 2% of Excel's power. It's so robust, it's amazing. And if you ever want to learn anything on Excel, just simply go to YouTube and Google some keywords. And there's just hours of great tutorials on Excel. Especially if you can find someone you like, go to their channel, and then they generally have like 7,000 different Excel videos. It's crazy. One of my favorite guys is a guy who his channel name is Excel is Fun, and he just generally shows things very clearly. So sometimes I'll go to his channel if I have a question on how to do something.